Welcome to the stories on Echoes of Revenge. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. I was stocking hay bales in the barn when I saw the sign. Bright yellow, professionally printed, staked at the end of my driveway. Premium development land, absolute auction March 16th. Below it, in smaller letters, 100 acres residential zoning approved sellers, Robert and Patricia Cunningham. My parents' names. Not mine. I pulled out my phone and photographed the sign, then the auction flyer stapled to my fence post. The glossy brochure showed aerial photos of my farm, the property I'd purchased 8 years ago, the land I'd placed under permanent conservation easement to protect from exactly this kind of development. The auction company was Henderson Associates, one of the largest land auctioneers in the state. Their reputation meant serious bidders with serious money. I opened the online catalog on my phone. Rare opportunity. 100 acres prime residential development land 15 minutes from downtown. Preliminary plat approved for 42 single-family homes. Estimated development value, $6.8 million. Minimum bid, $2.1 million. Absolute auction. Property sells to highest bidder regardless of price. 42 homes. On land that legally could never be developed. I drove to my parents' house without calling first. Their truck was in the driveway, parked beside a silver Mercedes I didn't recognize. Through the window, I could see my father shaking hands with a man in an expensive suit. I walked in. The dining room table was covered with documents. Survey maps, plat drawings, auction contracts. Sarah. Mom's voice was bright, performative. We were just going to call you. About the auction? Kept my voice level. Oh, you saw the sign. Dad gestured to the man in the suit. This is Roger Henderson with Henderson Auction Company. We're finalizing the details. Roger stood, extending his hand. I didn't take it. The 100 acres you're advertising, I said slowly. What makes you think you can sell it? Dad laughed. Sarah, it's family land. Your grandmother left it to all of us when she passed. We've decided it's time to maximize the value. Maximize the value, I repeated. The development market is incredibly strong right now, Roger interjected smoothly. We already have 17 registered bidders. Several developers have expressed serious interest. This could easily exceed $3 million at auction. Show me the deed, I said. Mom's smile tightened. Don't be dramatic. Grandmother wanted the land to benefit the whole family. You've had your little farming hobby for years. Now it's time for the rest of us to benefit. My little farming hobby. I pulled out my phone, opened my attorney's contact. And the conservation easement I placed on the property in 2019? That's also a hobby. The room went quiet. What easement? Dad's voice had lost its certainty. The perpetual conservation easement, I said clearly. Recorded with the county in April 2019. Prohibits all residential development in perpetuity. Held by the State Agricultural Land Trust. Roger's expression shifted from confident to confused. The preliminary research showed clear title. No easements were flagged. Then your research was incomplete, I said. I was already typing an email to my attorney, Michael Chin, attaching photos of the auction materials. The easement is recorded. The land trust is the holder. And I'm the sole grantor, because I'm the sole owner. That's impossible, Mom said. The property was in grandmother's trust. We're all beneficiaries. The property was in grandmother's trust, I agreed. Until she deeded it specifically to me in 2017, 2 years before she died. With a handwritten note that said, Sarah is the only one who loves this land for what it is, not what it could become. Dad's face had gone red. She wouldn't. She did. I pulled up the recorded deed on my phone, the county assessor's database clear and official. Recorded June 12, 2017. Warranty deed from Evelyn Marie Cunningham to Sarah Elizabeth Cunningham. Sole owner. Then in 2019, I placed it under permanent conservation easement to ensure it stayed farmland forever. Roger was already on his phone, presumably accessing the same county records. His face paled. I need to see these documents, he said quietly. They're public record, I replied. County Assessor's Office. Parcel number 847-23-009. You'll find the 2017 deed and the 2019 conservation easement. Both properly recorded, both legally binding. My phone buzzed. Michael Chin, received materials. This is fraud. I'm contacting the auction company's legal counsel and the county assessor immediately. Do not engage further without me present. I showed my parents the message. We didn't know, Mom said quickly. We thought. You thought you could sell property you don't own, I finished. Property you never verified ownership of. Property you advertised as developable when it's permanently protected. And you filed that false information with a licensed auction company, who advertised it to potential buyers, 17 of whom registered to bid with earnest money deposits. Roger was pale now, his phone pressed to his ear. Yes, I need legal immediately. We have a significant title issue on the Cunningham auction. Dad stood. This is a family misunderstanding. This is fraud, I said. You represented ownership you don't have. You claimed development rights that don't exist. You induced an auction company to advertise false information to potential buyers. That's not a misunderstanding. That's wire fraud, real estate fraud, and possibly conspiracy. My phone rang. Michael Chin on video call. I answered, turning the screen so he could see the room. Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham, Michael said, his voice professionally cold. I'm Michael Chin, Sarah's attorney. I've just spoken with the county agricultural assessor and the state land trust director. Both have confirmed that Sarah Cunningham is the sole owner of the property in question, and that it's under perpetual conservation easement prohibiting any residential development. Roger ended his call. Our legal department is pulling the auction immediately. We'll need to refund all deposits and issue formal retractions. More than that, Michael continued, the agricultural assessor is opening an investigation into fraudulent property claims. The Land Trust is filing a complaint for attempted easement violation, and the State Auction Commission will be reviewing whether criminal charges are appropriate for misrepresenting protected agricultural land. Mom sank into her chair. We'll explain it was a mistake. You signed auction contracts, Michael said. You provided representations of ownership. You received and reviewed marketing materials describing development potential. At any point you could have verified title. You didn't. That's not a mistake. That's negligence at minimum, fraud at worst. How much earnest money? I asked Roger. He looked sick. 17 bidders at $5,000 each. $85,000. All of which we now have to refund, plus our marketing costs, legal fees, and potential liability for the bidders' due diligence expenses. And your auction license? I pressed. Under review, he said quietly. The commission takes fraudulent property claims very seriously. Dad's hands were shaking. Sarah, we can work this out. No, I said. You can't work this out. You tried to sell land you don't own. You tried to destroy a conservation easement I placed to protect family land from exactly this kind of development. You did this without ever asking me, without ever verifying ownership, without caring about the land itself. My phone buzzed again. The county agricultural assessor, Dr. Patricia Morrison, requesting a call. I put her on speaker. Miss Cunningham? This is Dr. Morrison. I've reviewed the auction materials your attorney forwarded. I need to inform you that we're opening a formal investigation into fraudulent agricultural land claims. The individuals who filed this auction will need to appear before the county board within 30 days. What happens at that hearing? I asked. We determine whether criminal charges are appropriate, Dr. Morrison said. Misrepresenting protected agricultural land can result in fines up to $50,000 and potential imprisonment for up to 3 years. We take conservation easement violations extremely seriously. Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. Additionally, Dr. Morrison continued, the State Land Trust Director has asked me to convey that they're considering a civil lawsuit for attempted easement violation, with damages potentially including the full development value you advertised, $6.8 million according to your materials. Roger had his head in his hands. The land stays protected, I said clearly. Forever. That was grandmother's wish and it's legally binding. Absolutely, Dr. Morrison agreed. The easement is perpetual and recorded. No development will ever occur on that parcel. Miss Cunningham, the Land Trust would like to recognize your conservation efforts at next month's awards ceremony if you're interested. I'll think about it, I said. Thank you, Dr. Morrison. I ended the call. The room was silent except for Mom's quiet crying. The auction is cancelled, Roger said, gathering his materials. Our legal team will be in touch regarding our company's losses and potential liability. Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham, I strongly suggest you retain criminal defense counsel immediately. He left without shaking anyone's hand. I looked at my parents. Dad had aged 10 years in 20 minutes. Mom wouldn't meet my eyes. For 8 years, you never once asked about the farm, I said. Never asked how I was doing, never offered to help with the work, never showed any interest in what I was building there. But the moment you thought you could turn it into money, you moved fast. We thought, Dad started. You thought nothing, I interrupted. You assumed ownership you didn't have. You assumed rights you'd never verified. You assumed I wouldn't fight back. What happens now? Mom whispered. Now you face the county board hearing, I said. You face the Land Trust civil lawsuit. You face the Auction Commission's investigation. And you face the fact that you tried to destroy protected agricultural land for profit. I walked to the door, then turned back. Grandmother knew exactly what she was doing when she deeded me that land. She knew I'd protect it. She knew you'd try to develop it. She made her choice. And I'm honoring it. 6 weeks later, I stood in my barn as the morning sun hit the east pasture. The conservation easement sign the Land Trust had installed stood at the property entrance. Protected agricultural land, permanent conservation easement, development prohibited. My phone showed 3 messages from my parents' attorney, requesting mediation. I deleted them all. The county board hearing was scheduled for next week. The Land Trust civil suit demanded $340,000 in damages, 5% of the advertised development value. Roger Henderson's auction license was suspended pending investigation. My parents had mortgaged their house to hire attorneys. I'd planted 40 acres in native grassland restoration. The remaining 60 acres continued as working farmland, hay, rotation crops, sustainable practices. Exactly what grandmother had envisioned. The land would never have houses on it. Never have subdivisions or strip malls or parking lots. It would stay farm. Stay protected. Stay exactly what it was meant to be. They wanted to turn heritage into profit. Instead they turned fraud into consequence. The conservation easement is forever. Their access to me is not. The land remembers who protected it. And so do I.